Is music something that's heard only through the ears, or is it also something that happens between the two ears? Stick around and find out. These past few weeks, I've been digging up a lot of definitions for music coming from different sources, and all of them hover around similar ideas that music is an art form that has to do with sound, structure, listening, etc. But there's one definition that really caught my attention, a definition that contains the obvious but subtle idea that music isn't only what's physically heard through our ears, but it's also what we hear in our mind's ear. Just think of how language isn't only what we speak through our mouths, but it's also what we read, what we write, and what we hear as a voice inside our minds. Here's how I think of illustrating this whole concept of music that is heard versus music that is thought of. Music that's physically heard is placed horizontally, and music that's being thought of is placed vertically. For instance, imagine someone hearing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star being played, and then simply thinking of the melody Row, Row, Row Your Boat playing in his mind. Now that this is established, let's move to the next level where things get really interesting. I'll be stepping into the world of mathematics for a bit, but not for any formulas or calculations. It's simply to create a parallel between some concepts in mathematics and to bring them over to music. In math, numbers are usually represented along a horizontal line. Positive numbers are on the right side and negative numbers are on the left side. The analogy with music is that the positive side is for sounds that will be produced and the negative side is for sounds that were produced. For instance, after a few notes of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, we have the first 4 notes that were played on the negative side, and the 3 remaining notes are still on the positive side until they are played. Now, what about music on the vertical orientation? In a similar way, music that will be thought of is placed towards the top, and music that was thought of is placed towards the bottom. Check it out. In mathematics, there exists a category of numbers that cannot be described by using real-world references, in the way that we use apples, bank debts, and pizza slices to talk about whole numbers, negative numbers, and fractions. I call these numbers abstract numbers, as opposed to real numbers we're used to on the horizontal line. The name imaginary is more commonly used, but I prefer abstract. These numbers are abstract in a similar way that thoughts and ideas cannot be explained physically, although they really do exist. And I am not talking about brain chemistry and the thinking process. I'm talking about the abstract notion of a thought. So do not come running to me with neuroscience papers and brain biology books, okay? So we have the horizontal orientation for music heard and the vertical orientation for music in the mind. Let's call this combination complex music, as a reference to complex numbers in mathematics. And to complete this analogy to math, let's label each one of the 4 different directions: an 8th note on the real positive side, a negative 8th note on the real negative side, the square root of a negative 8th note on the abstract upper side, and the negative square root of a negative 8th note on the abstract lower side. That, my friends, is what the square root of a negative sound actually means. As for the square root of a positive sound, I still have to figure out what a sound multiplied by itself actually means before anything. Anyways, a word of caution before I let you go. There's nothing scientific about what I just talked about, even if I use mathematics to put some structure into those ideas. I use the word melomatics to describe this idea of creating parallels between mathematics and the way we perceive music. A similar word, musematics, as used by Gareth Loy, is the idea of making parallels between mathematics and the physics behind music. That is 100% science. Well, there you have it. That was our brief excursion into the world of music beyond our ears. Thumbs up this video if you liked it, share it with people around you that might find it as interesting as you did, and also consider subscribing so you won't miss some more content like this coming up. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and see you later.